Everyone loves a parade, just not everyone has seen one. 50 years, after all, is a really long time. You have to be of a certain vintage. Back then, winning the Stanley Cup was not only expected, it happened with great frequency. When the last one arrived, the 13th for the storied franchise, it was also their 4th in 6 years. Fans loved the winning, and in a way almost took it for granted. One newspaper story actually said the winning had become old hat. My, how that would change. They say a crowd of roughly 20,000 fans, one of the smallest to attend a Stanley Cup celebration, lined the streets of Toronto on May 5, 1967. Some folks stood for 3 hours before the parade started, just to get a glimpse of the cup and their hockey heroes.
It was my first cup, and we weren't supposed to win that year. We were the over-the-hill gang, and I was the young guy on the team, and Johnny Bauer was the oldest guy on the team, and I believe he was 41 and I'm 21, so I just followed what the veterans did. And but it's always, you know, you form a bond. Every time you do something like that, win a cup, win a championship, you form a bond, and we still have that today when we get together, the 67 team.
Kids were let out of school early. The parade started at Maple Leaf Gardens and wound its way south to Nathan Phillips Square, the first cup celebration at the new City Hall. And of course, the last. It was the end of an era in so many ways, with the league doubling in size the next year, and the end of the line for an aging team who became unexpected champions. One Leaf, whose pride had been wounded, decided to skip the parade and instead took his boys fishing. Another put a hex on the team because of a contract stalemate, vowing they would never win the cup again. Yet another player took home a couple of bottles of champagne from the celebration. One remains unopened, with the words "Do not open until the Leafs win the next Stanley Cup" written on the label.
1967, last year we won the Stanley Cup. The greatest thrill of my life. It's a dream that came true as a kid, a child, and I give a lot of credit to my wife for that. But that's my number one list there.
The guys that played on all 4 cups, and the majority of our team did, this was sort of, okay, here we go again. But for me, being my one and only, it was a pretty darn exciting day.
When once upon a time Maple Leafs fans expected a champion and got them, over the past 50 years, only a handful of times have they even gotten close. For 50 years they have longed for a champion, for another parade. But now, finally, for one of the few times in that half-century of mostly pain, Maple Leafs fans can be forgiven if they are daring to dream. Their faces of hope are real, and really good. And Leafs fans aren't the only ones who believe this is the beginning of something. That maybe there is a parade in their future, not just their distant past.